Nephrite jade has been an important part of Chinese culture for thousands of years. Historically, China sourced much of their white jade from Hetian, in today's Xinjiang region, which is now part of China. In the 18th and 19th centuries, however, as demand for jade increased under the Qing dynasty, sources in Xinjiang began to run out, creating a need for the Siberian jade trade. Russia began exporting large quantities of nephrite jade into China in the 1700s and over time became one of the most significant sources of jade in the world. This video, with the help of Stephen Sednek of The Seventh Stone, will explain green and white Russian jade, active jade mines, and notable visual characteristics of Siberian nephrite material. Before we dive in, I want to be very clear that not all jade comes from Russia. Some of the finest white nephrite jade in the world has come from Xinjiang, China. And Canada has been another significant source of green nephrite jade for many years, which we've discussed at length on this channel. Links are in the video description. There are also deposits of nephrite jade in the United States, Europe, the Middle East, and multiple Asian countries including Taiwan, Korea, and Japan. The most significant deposits of jadeite jade are currently in Myanmar and Guatemala, with some deposits in Russia, Japan, Kazakhstan, Cuba, and a few other countries. Though it should be mentioned that the only significant amount of any notable quality for gemstones has always come from Myanmar and Guatemala, with Russia coming in third on the list of important jadeite jade deposits.
I would say Russia makes up the top of the market for green nephrite jade. There's some insanely expensive and high quality pieces that come out quite regularly. For white, the same is true, but people, I would say, more commonly associate China with being, the source for top of the market of white nephrite, but there is a huge quantity that comes out of Russia.
Stephen is an importer of rough Russian jade and sells his products online. Links below, as well as at shows such as the Monterey Bay Jade Festival. The most famous Russian jade mine, known for producing some of the highest quality green nephrite jade in the world, is the No. 7 mine, located in eastern Siam.
So No. 7 is probably, in the Chinese market, it's probably the most well-known green nephrite mine. Even in the West, a lot of people know it. It's kind of famous for really pure pieces. There's a lot of chatoyant, cat's eye jade pieces that come out of there. And yeah, you kind of get everything from light green up to super concentrated emerald green.
Check out these Siberian cat's eye jade beads from Jade West. Chatoyancy is the gemological term for the cat's eye phenomenon. In jade, chatoyancy is caused by light interacting with parallel fibers within the stone. I dive deeper into this concept in a video featuring Washington Jade and their blue cat's eye nephrite, link below.
Oftentimes with No. 7, what you get is sort of material like this block where, it's got a lot of twisting and marbling and veins. Some parts are mildly chatoyant. Sometimes you'll have veins that are very, very chatoyant. And sometimes you'll get veins that they're not really chatoyant at all, but they have almost like a little sheen to them if you catch the angle right.
Both jades in high qualities are known to have a characteristic called sonority. Some No. 7 material is known to ping beautifully. Listen to this very special piece.
It's a piece that has a really pronounced ringing, and that's generally going to be associated with high quality jade, but this one is one of my favorites because the ringing effect is kind of louder and clearer. It's kind of the best I've heard for green nephrite, yeah.
Rumor has it that Fabergé himself sourced jade from the No. 7 mine for his Fabergé eggs. The mine has only been commercially significant in recent years, and it's suspected that the No. 7 mine is not terribly far from being mined out. Less talked about are the Ulan Khoda and Khara deposits, also in eastern Siam.
Yeah, so Ulan Khoda, it's been producing for a long time. I think it's technically mined out, but there's like material that's in surrounding veins that's closed that probably gets called Ulan Khoda these days anyway. And Khara is what is being taken out in pretty big volumes like today. A lot of the stuff on the current market over there is from that mine. They are both from the same general region, like the same general source. Ulan Khoda is material that is in situ, so it's dug from the mountain. It's going to be underground material. And so you're going to notice a either gray or white rind on it. And then Khara is material that has weathered out of the mountain. It's going to have evidence of weathering. So that'll either be red rind, or sometimes you'll get pieces that are really water worn, almost like river jade, but not quite to that extent.
The jade, revered by ancient China, was actually white nephrite jade. Geology does not know national borders, and of course, the national borders of China and Russia have changed many times over the years. Xinjiang, a region located today in northwest China and known for the finest quality of white nephrite jade in the world, was a part of the Silk Road in ancient times. It became a part of the Tang dynasty during the 7th and 8th centuries, then the Western Xia, and later the Mongol Empire. It was inhabited by various indigenous peoples before it came under control of the Qing dynasty during Qianlong's reign, where it remained mostly a part of China with the exception of some Russian influence until the fall of the Qing. Later, it became taken over by the Soviet Union until Mao and the CCP took power in China in 1949. Xinjiang has been a part of China ever since. The area around Lake Baikal in Russia was historically a part of China as well, so one can see that the language surrounding jade origins in China and Russia can be confusing depending on the time period you're referring to.
One of the things that I see a lot of people in the West are misinformed on is mutton fat jade. So I see people calling any number of white-looking rocks mutton fat jade. It's really common, on eBay and Etsy. Yeah, originally mutton fat jade was referring to the absolute purest white jade. So it was very pure tremolite, and it was from only a specific area in China.
Hetian jade, also pronounced Haitian jade or maybe Hessian jade, is a very relaxed term. While legally, Hetian or Hetian jade can refer to any nephrite jade from any origin, many people use it to refer to any white nephrite jade. The problem with this is sellers referring to Siberian, Korean, and Qinghai white jades as Hetian jade to give the false impression that the jade is from Xinjiang, so they can charge more than what the jade is actually worth. Yet another reason to always shop with a trustworthy seller. I have an interview on this channel with Andrew Shaw that explains Chinese jade origins in depth, link below. Let's take a look at some white nephrite from the Kavokta Mine in Russia.
It's kind of probably the best material that I've seen when it comes to mountain material for white jade. You get really, really fine textured pieces with, you can see in these really sharp transition area or alteration zone. Usually pretty thin rind, pretty phenomenal material to work with. The browns there, they'll turn, if you carve them thin on top of the white, they'll turn like gold or honey color. And that's another reason why they're super, super popular in the Chinese market.
And this is from the Golubensko mine.
This deposit, it's kind of, I would say, a good chunk of the material that's coming out right now. The rind's a little bit different. These often will have some thicker rinds. The alteration zone in these, you get often really dark or black, or sometimes you'll get brown, but oftentimes it's darker stuff.
Identifying origin of white nephrite jade is very important when it comes to value. But how easy is it to tell Chinese and Siberian apart?
At the top of the market, so the best of the best pieces, I would say they're going to be almost indistinguishable. So if you take like a super high quality piece of white river jade from China and a super high quality piece of white river jade from Russia, they're going to look indistinguishable to you or me. I'm sure there are experts in China who can pick them apart by eye or by feel. When you get into like the mid-grade and some of the lower grade material, that's where you're going to see differences in maybe inclusions or sort of the really finer hints in how the jade looks, I guess is the best way I can say it. You can just sort of, after working with like a material from a certain mine, you can just kind of have like a look and feel with it.
What does the future hold for the Siberian nephrite jade trade? The ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine has not stopped the jade trade yet. But as the mines grow nearer to depletion over time, customers wonder if the value of Russian jade will go up.
In the beginning of the war, there was quite a bit of unsure if, material was going to be able to cross the borders. But I think now it's sort of reached equilibrium where they can get it out and there's not really any huge problems with it. You do see often like the middle or low end quality material be sold quite cheaply. It's easy for a large amount of this material to be taken out and then taken to warehouses and workshops and they just mass produce it and sell it, and boom, you profit a little bit for each piece and you make a fair amount of money, right, if you're the producer. But when it comes to the high-end material, it's just not possible. It's so rare that the high-grade pieces have such demand that there's a really huge gap in between sort of the higher end of the mid-grade material, if that makes sense. And then there's a huge jump up to when you get that gem grade material.
We don't know how much longer the fine material from the Russian jades will last, which is just another reason to value and cherish nephrite jade. Nephrite has an 8,000-year history and has been revered by every civilization that's known it. It has been sold too cheaply, and many have forgotten how truly rare and exceptional this material is. In the words of Fred Ward in his 1987 National Geographic article, "Jade deserves better." Support small businesses who sell jade by checking out the Jot recommended sellers below. And stick around to watch my interview with Canadian jade mining legend Kirk Makepeace of Jade West.